Saint Sebastian interceding for the plague-stricken illustrates the overall Christian mindset about the plague in Europe during the 14th century. The artist painted this scene because the viewers would have known the terrors of the plague. God in the battle scene in the sky, as well as Saint Sebastian, the sick priest, the dying grave attendant, and the dead bodies for burial, are all important pieces of the painting because they illustrate this mindset. Late medieval Christians believed that God caused the Black Plague as a punishment, and Saint Sebastian was one of the intercessors. In the top left corner of the painting, God is talking to Saint Sebastian. We know that this is God represented because he is seen holding a cross. There is a halo around his head, and he is wearing red. Liefrinks used the iconography of dark clouds to represent God's anger. God is also holding out his hand as if he is telling Saint Sebastian to stop interceding for the people. Just below God and Saint Sebastian, there is an angel and a demon fighting over who will take the city. This battle represents the struggle early Christians were having against the bubonic plague. The demon is working to take the lives or souls in the city, and the angel is working to save them. Saint Sebastian is depicted near the center at the top of the painting. He is kneeling before God in a prayer position and wearing a halo. We know this is Saint Sebastian because there are arrows penetrating his body. Saint Sebastian was a Christian martyr who was sentenced to death by arrows, but he was found by a woman who helped him recover. Once healed, he was persistent in declaring his faith as a Christian, and he was sentenced to be beaten to death. Since the plague was associated with God sending arrows of death, and Saint Sebastian was remembered as the martyr who was sentenced to die by arrows, he became the protector or intercessor for Christians during the plague. He was represented in this painting so that the viewer could see him making a plea to God for the people. Another aspect represented in this painting that is important to the mindset of medieval Christians is that everyone is affected by the plague, and it can happen at any moment. In the background, starting in the middle of the city, there are piles of dead bodies that are being carried to the graves in the foreground of the painting. The endless amount of bodies show that the plague killed many people, and that the plague was never ending. In the foreground of the painting, there is a grave attendant who was instantly struck by the plague while burying bodies, and because it happened so quickly, Christians believed that it could only happen because of God. An important thing to remember is that people, Christian or not, during this time did not know anything about germs or how they spread. This made it was hard for Christians to believe it didn't happen because of God. To the right of the painting, you can see several priests standing and praying over the bodies being buried. There is a priest there that has an ill-looking face, and this is important to the painting because it again shows that everyone was affected by the plague. The idea was that God, in his anger, sent down arrows of death to punish everyone, even those who seemed righteous. Liefrinks's painting, Saint Sebastian interceding for the plague-stricken, demonstrates the overall mindset of medieval Christians. The iconography of dark clouds to show God's anger, and the battle between the angel and demon, show that medieval Christians believed God was punishing them. Saint Sebastian shows that medieval Christians believed he was their protector, someone who could talk to God if they prayed to him. The grave attendant who was instantly struck by the disease shows that medieval Christians believed that it was an unearthly death that could only be caused by God. The ill-looking priest shows that everyone was affected by the plague because it was God's punishment. The painting directly illustrates that late medieval Christians believed God was the cause of the Black Plague. They believed that it was a punishment, and that Saint Sebastian was an intercessor for the people. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.